What is up, guys? This is Comeback Gaming here once again. As you may have read for the title, I am going to be doing a Darkhawk and Night Thrasher abilities and gameplay kind of overview. Hopefully, YouTube Gaming does not just drop a deuce and close out while I'm trying to do this. So, I know it's moving super slow today, but try and get through this as quickly as possible. This way you guys can kind of get a very general idea, I guess you could say, of how useful both Darkhawk and Night Thrasher are and can be. Kind of just start off with general little look on Night Thrasher, and then I'll go to Darkhawk. I did purchase the deal that Kabam had put up for, I believe it was $30. At a chance, a chance to get Darkhawk early. Sorry about that. As well as get Night Thrasher. So I ended up pulling both, as you saw when I just dropped in here. I did get both 5-star Darkhawk, and I got this 4-star version of Night Thrasher, of course. I'll start by saying that both of these characters look extremely awesome. The favorite of my two, just for cosmetic-wise, I would have to say Night Thrasher is the better looking one. Super cool that he actually uses his skateboard as well. Not a lot of people, or champions I should say, within the game actually do get to use some of their items that they actually carry on them, such as like Gamora. Maybe, I guess you might be able to say, like, kind of Mordo. I mean, he has like the magic stick, I forgot what it's called. He only uses it for certain attacks, but that's really about it. But anyway, this is Night Thrasher. If you guys want to read his bio, feel free to pause it here. This way you can kind of get a good idea of who the character is. I personally didn't know about Night Thrasher or Darkhawk at all. I guess they're a little bit deeper. They're even deeper into the comics than I've actually gone into. I think the deepest I've ever gone will probably be Moon Knight. All different alternate realities of like Captain America, like America Chavez, I believe is her name. But as of anybody else, like Night Thrasher and our Darkhawk, totally a surprise to enter the contest for this month. And as we all saw, the trailer that Kabam had put out on all forms of social media, introducing the Silver Surfer, who will probably come out early next year. I would say probably about maybe February. They'll come out, either that, or if they want to kind of keep the theme of like things coming out like the Fantastic Four, they'll probably wait till the fourth month of the year. So looking at that, that spot in April. But without further ado, I'll kind of get into Night Thrasher now. So the main thing with Night Thrasher, both him and Darkhawk both need to be awakened. With Night Thrasher's ability, he benefits greatly from being awakened. Just in general, I don't think he needs a super high signature level. If I can get my hands on another awakening gem, I'll definitely awaken this guy to kind of check him out a little bit better. But I believe once he gets awakened, he actually his gadget debuffs will last longer. And as for the regular applying debuffs, the Incinerate is, let's see, he's passively immune to Incinerate, much like Void, which is really cool. So he's another counter for Mephisto because he's immune to Incinerate effects. So he's both immune to the Incinerate debuff as well as Mephisto's Incineration aura. And with my version at rank 330, he gains 633.33 physical resistance, I would say it's not too big of a deal. I mean, mostly the game is going to be like don't get hit, so that's just kind of my perspective on it. Let's see, Night Thrasher gains critical damage rating for each unique debuff on his opponent, so you can only apply 3 debuffs on your opponent: Incinerate, Shock, and Disorient. And I'll go over how to apply each one of those a little in just a few seconds. So. That is also not affected by ability accuracy reduction, which kind of sucks because the best way that we could have countered that would have been Archangel. So apart from that, though, really cool that they included this ability, well-timed blocks and successful dodges, which just means using dexterity properly. Grant 5% of max power while Night Thrasher is under 1 bar of power. Super cool right there, because if you really want to play like super defensively, you can just parry until you get a full bar of power, heavy attack, and then you get like the first part of your heavy where he slaps with the skateboard, and then you immediately hit S1 and you can get I believe it's Incinerate, not Incinerate, it might be Incinerate, I think it's Shock actually, and that's when you get the Shock debuff. So any skateboard attacks will have true accuracy. Again, really cool for countering any Spider-Man characters, as well as Medusa, and even potentially Iron Man Infinity War, because it does prevent auto block effects. So it's going to say on the right hand of the screen, auto block failed. Or evade failed on any character like Miles Spidey, classic Spidey that's duped, Medusa, of course, Infinity War, Iron Man. So on all those kind of things, he's going to be a really good utility character. On opponent knockdown, obviously you're going to refresh all of your gadget debuffs. This is especially useful to kind of re-up these things. As of right now, I've only been playing around with him as a 220. That was, of course, before I ranked him up again to 330. So his gadget debuffs kind of didn't look like they were doing a massive amount of damage to me, but obviously things changed when you rank them from 220 to 330. So special attack 1. This is where we get into the different gadget debuffs. So if you want to put Shock on your opponent, you heavy real quick, and then you use your special 1, which will apply the Shock debuff. The other 2 are based on ending with a light attack or medium attack. So the light attack is going to give you Disorient. So obviously it doesn't matter if you do a full combo. You can just do a quick medium, light, and then into a special 1. You'll get the Disorient. Disorient, if you're not familiar with it, you can go ahead and read that. It reduces enemy ability accuracy by 50%. So that definitely builds upon him canceling any evades or auto blocks. Because like Medusa's auto block and Infinity War Iron Man's auto block both do the same thing. That's a defensive ability accuracy, so that's going to get reduced by 50%. So it's a 50% chance, less chance of them proccing that auto block, as well as I believe Spider-Man. All of the Spider-Man characters' evades are also defensive ability as well. So. And along with that, it reduces block proficiency by 50%, of course, for 12 seconds, which is just the duration of the debuff. And finally, if you go in with ending with a medium attack, that's when he inflicts Incinerate, removing perfect block chance, decreasing the opponent's block proficiency by 50%. So kind of between both the Incinerate and the Disorient, they are already down 100% on block proficiency. So that's 100% reduced block proficiency, completely removed, which is super cool. The way that I have actually played with it, I was just messing around mainly against villains. He seems to be super cool against and useful. Excuse me. So now the special 2, I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's going to refresh each unique debuff, as well as grant Night Thrasher a precision buff, increasing crit rating by 211.11 for each unique debuff for another 10 seconds. So that critical debuff, it works much in the way that Ghosts does, in the fact that, it increases his critical rating for each debuff that's on the opponent. So, and then of course, the level 3, you inflict a passive debilitate, extending the duration of all debuffs by 75% for 45 seconds, as well as refreshing all the active gadget debuffs with extended duration. So I would have to say that this will probably be the most important thing if you can't get this guy awakened. I would say mainly focusing between getting all 3 gadgets up and running. I would probably skip the L2 until I can get to a special attack 3. This way all of the durations are going to be plus 75% for 45 seconds. So instead of, let's see, it only extends duration. I see. So on top of that, you're going to have, I'm trying to look where it's at, 12 seconds. So you're going to be increasing it by 75% for an additional 45. So you have 45 seconds of an extended duration on debuffs. Super cool. And again, after that, you can actually just keep spamming heavy to refresh that, as far as I understand. Let's take a look at the synergies. The most important ones, I would have to say, I gotta say, Punisher and Moon Knight, super cool. As for utility-wise, I think the only person that's going to gain anything would be Punisher. Moon Knight is heavily reliant on his moon phases, which change during every week. So having a 30% chance to inflict bleed, dealing 50% of base attack as direct damage over 3 seconds as the moon waxes. See, the chance to bleed on medium attacks is 100%. So again, this is not really something that Night Thrasher is going to totally benefit from. Obviously, it's another debuff, so his L2 is going to hit a little bit harder with that 4th debuff of a bleed. And of course, you have that direct damage over 3 seconds, which is going to be extended with any deep wounds, synergies, and it's going to do even more damage if you have Assassin maxed out already. So I'll try not to go on too long about this, but and of course with Punisher and Moon Knight, duration of bleeds are increased to 40%. Would be nice if that could also link back to Night Thrasher, a 40% increase on bleed. This way, everything could be extended. This one would probably be the most critical synergy that everybody would be looking for any event quests. With Night Thrasher, he ends up becoming unstoppable when dashing towards the enemy. And for Ghost Rider, the durations of Bleed, Fate Seal, and Damnation are increased by 40%. This is absolutely insane because those 3 debuffs that Ghost Rider can put on somebody, absolutely crucial. And to gain an additional 40% on top of his already increasing of the duration for every judgment that you do put on the opponent, it's just gonna be great. I've tried this out already. His bleed lasts so long and it's amazing. You get, I believe, about 3 to 4 extra ticks depending on where you are deep wounds wise. I personally have deep wounds at level 4 or 5, and Assassin is at 5 of 5. I made the executive decision that Assassin is more important than deep wounds. And hopefully Kaban can kind of give us more ability points. That way I can, 5 of 5. Deep wounds at that point and kind of expand into other things like despair. This way I can make void a little bit better. Anyway, this makes guillotine a little bit better as well. Not a super critical synergy. Hits have a 50% additional chance to inflict bleed, dealing 70% of attack as direct damage over 4.5 seconds. I would have to say that probably between guillotine and having a Punisher would be beneficial. So I guess that kind of makes up for the Punisher and Moon Knight synergy and what it's lacking there with the duration of bleeds. So And it gives Guillotine a little bit of extra, crit rating for each soul, which is really, really cool, because if you just think about it, once you get up to like 10 stacks, if you're doing Realm of Legends and you're a Wolverine, I mean, he's literally going to melt himself after you crit on him. So, and of course, probably one of the even better synergies with Infinity War Cap, both of the Cyclopses, and Star-Lord. Well-timed blocks having a 50% chance to apply a Disorient debuff for 3 seconds. Super, super cool again. Obviously, like I said before, I explained what Disorient does. If not, I'll just refresh you again. So Disorient reduces enemy defensive ability accuracy and lowers block proficiency. So having that ability on all of Captain America, Infinity War, Star-Lord are probably the more crucial of the two, just due to the fact that you're going to be using them more often than you're going to use Cyclops, because it depends. If you're crazy about Cyclops, I'm not going to judge you, but that guy's not all that great. So that's really about it for Night Thrasher. I'll go ahead and go into a little bit. I'll show you guys the percentages for crit rating, damage, and whatnot. Crap. I know, I try to be lucky. It doesn't happen all the time, though. So, critical rating, 23.1%. Damage rating is 175.2%. There is no armor penetration, which kind of sucks. Same thing with block penetration. So most of the time, your opponent's going to be taking like 0 damage from any blocked hits. Armor rating is 10.5%. Block proficiency is not too bad. I think what I'll do is I'll actually compare him to. I'll compare him to Infinity War Cap. So let's take a look at his, because as of right now, I believe he's got one of the, if not the best, block proficiencies in the game. So let's go down here. Yeah, 76.3%. So it's not too bad. 68, I would say that's a fair number. All things considered, would be really cool if it was a little bit higher, though. I mean, we do need a lot more champions with higher block proficiency. So, but that's it for Night Thrasher. Now I'll go ahead and go into Darkhawk. To me, Darkhawk seems like he's going to be more of a defender. He's such a pain in the dick to kind of get going. With Darkhawk, you'll actually notice that unless he is in the null mode, which I'll actually pull up here, he does not really do that much damage. Also, the main other thing is, too, you only have access to 2 of his nodes, two of his modes, which are null and stealth. The only way you can actually get shield mode is by being knocked down. Let's see. Yeah, the only way that he actually gains shield mode is by being knocked down. Yeah. So there's really no other way other than letting yourself get hit by a heavy or a special attack. So I'd have to say that kind of sucks. I kind of wish that they had made it that you do a heavy attack and then you get shield mode. But other than that, it's just you have to use a special 2 for stealth mode, and then L3 is going to be your null mode, which is where all of his damage comes from. As you can see, I have him at Sig level 149, which is absolutely insane. Gains a little bit over 1,000 additional attack rating, and I'll show you how that kind of plays out. If you manage to get null mode and you decide to take this champion in against Electro, you basically just screwed yourself, because you're going to take so much damage back. It's not even funny. I think I knocked out Electro in about 6 to 8 hits, and just in those 6 to 8 hits, you're going to take about 40% of your damage back at you. Yes, if you do. Well, not if you get hit, if you get knocked down. That's definitely something that they do clarify. If you get knocked down by a heavy or a special, it won't activate on just regular, medium, and light hits. So yeah, as I was saying, Electro is just going to be a disaster, which kind of sucks because this guy's synergies are really, really cool. Come on, let's load. So with Infinity War Iron Man and Sparky just gain, I don't know, everybody gains 5% attack. Nighthawk, so with Night Thrasher and Moon Knight, Darkhawk starts the fight in a random mode. Super, super key to him. Obviously, this is going to suck a lot more because as far as I know right now, synergies don't work on defense. So, yes, Darkhawk is going to be a little bit more of a pain in the behind on defense, but not if he doesn't start in a mode. Obviously, the only way that people are going to be able to get around this is if they don't use specials. So if they don't use specials, then he won't enter shield mode, which is kind of a big flaw to this character, because you kind of want him to be in shield mode or stealth mode. Most of the time you want him to be in stealth mode. This way they can actually have a chance to miss. But in shield mode, they actually take damage from hitting into your block the same way that you would take damage if you're going to hit into Quake's duped ability block. So, but anyway, you start the fight in a random mode. Like I said, super, super key. Really nice when you start out with null mode because you crush everything in like 5 to 6 hits. I was clearing through the first chapter of Uncollected, and I think nobody took more than about 15 hits, which is not too bad considering, he's in this null mode, which gives him additional crit rating and whatnot. But if he's in any other mode like shield or stealth mode, he's gonna hit a little bit. He's still gonna hit kind of hard, just due to your masteries. But other than that, he's real close to Colossus. I'll just say that. So for Night Thrasher, his enemies have minus 20% armor rating for each unique debuff on them. I guess that kind of helps out, with him not being able to kind of push through armor as much. Moon Knight, new and waxing moons grant 30% of max power for over 6 seconds at the beginning of the fight. Full and waning moons grant 10% of max health over 3 seconds at the beginning of the fight. So that's kind of, I have to say that's pretty cool. Still not going to make Moon Knight a super valuable character, unfortunately. Alright, so Dark Justice, again with Ghost Rider, which is really cool because using Darkhawk with Ghost Rider, the full Holy Trinity team, and Night Thrasher, this is, again, gonna be amazing. 30% additional power rate against villains, absolutely crucial, plus 10% crit rating against heroes. Obviously, they're not going to let that stack with duplicate synergies because it's not going to happen. That character is just going to be OP. Definitely, yeah, it's definitely still cool what they did to kind of buff up Moon Knight. Maybe if there's some hardcore Moon Knight players out there, they might use it. But I'd have to say 30% additional power against villains, really cool. And also it gives you a little bit more of a use against heroes as well. So 10% additional crit rating, definitely useful. And of course for the last one, I guess it's okay. Additional 5% crit rating and damaging debuffs are 40% stronger. This mainly affects Vulture's Incinerate that gets applied to the opponent when you Dexterity. Falcon, I'm not sure, other than gaining additional 40% stronger bleed. I don't think that's going to help him too much. But Hawkeye, definitely the best to gain from this. I mean, this is definitely a buff for Hawkeye if he wasn't already good enough. I mean, he's got a power gen on his L1, plus a chance to bleed, and it's just gonna be nuts. Definitely really cool synergies, though. I gotta say the one that I like the most would probably be with Night Thrasher. And Ghost Rider. I'd say Ghost Rider is the most useful for any player in the game if you have the Holy Trinity, or if you just have Ghost Rider and you manage to get yourself a Darkhawk when he's officially released into the game. But yeah, so let's go into his abilities a little bit more. So he's obviously a robot. Wow, why did I say that weird? So he's full immunities to poison and bleed. Super nice. Definitely useful for AQ if you really want to bring him in there. Any wing attacks that utilize his wings have 100% armor penetration. Really, really nice against take a 6-star Venom. I don't know. We'll have to see how that works out. 100% armor penetration. I would assume this is meant to kind of make him good against any armor champions, aka Colossus, even though he's not that great. This also makes him good against Red Skull, even though he's already terrible. This just helps you rip through his armor stacks at the beginning of the fight, because you really don't want to hit into Red Skull if you guys haven't learned that already. You take a lot of damage, and it's not fun at all. So like I said, if you get knocked down, that's when shield mode gets restarted. Shield mode provides 1300 armor and resistance, reduces critical damage by 100%. I'd have to say, starting in this mode, I'm not too crazy about it. Obviously, it's really good for keeping like your parry damage down a little bit lower. It's gonna deal shock damage if you get hit by the defender, and that's really about it. But for the regen on him, super cool. Darkhawk enters in mode from a different one. He ends up regenning about 1500 health over 2 seconds. I'd say 1500 health out of 14,000 health. I guess I'll take it. Hold on 1 second. Alright, sorry about that, guys. I did not expect the phone to ring, so... where was I at? Let's see... Null space regen. Regen, cool feature. It's not that much. Enters any mode into a different one, he gets to regen. I don't think this works the way that it... yeah, it's definitely rude. I hate telemarketers. I don't think this works on every Switch. Otherwise, I think it would be a little bit better. I'm not exactly sure, though. I think I'll have to test that out. I might just end up fighting Realm of Legends Winter Soldier, just to make it a long enough fight to kind of showcase all of his abilities. So if he's in shield mode, the special one deals a stun, which lasts for 3.5 seconds. Obviously, that gets extended if you have the... what is it? The extended stun mastery unlocked. If he's in stealth mode, opponents gain no power from a special one. That's pretty useful. Let's fight him now. Let me finish going over the abilities first, alright? Mellow Elf. Calm down. Let's see. If he's in null mode, attacks will inflict shock, dealing 1354 energy over 4 seconds. So that's just a special one. Special 2, he exits any other mode, goes into stealth mode for 20 seconds. Completely unaffected by ability accuracy, which is pretty obvious. There's nothing that you can really do with ability accuracy. Yeah, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out. Don't worry. Defensive power gain is passively reduced. It's okay. It's okay. We'll get there. Almost done. By 70%, incoming light and medium attacks have a 30% chance to miss. This is the most annoying part about Darkhawk on defense. 30% chance to miss. I mean, if you think about it, that's more of a chance. That's way more of a chance than like Black Widow has to evade, because hers is only like a 0.8% or 8% chance to evade, and we know how much she likes to evade. So, special 3 inflicts heal block, preventing the opponent from healing for 30 seconds. He exits any other mode and goes into null mode, which is the mad damage mode, I guess I could call it. Again, he's just completely unaffected by ability accuracy reduction effects. So the attack does additional 25% damage through block penetration, which is kind of nice. Not against Red Skull, though, because you really don't want to hit into his block. Plus, his basic attacks have a 100% chance to inflict shock, which is also really nice. So I think I might want to actually try that out as well. So let's go ahead and start. Oh my god. Alright, we'll go ahead to event quests. Oh my god. Halls of Fortune, I gotta do that. Alright, so we'll throw him in, and that is really the only synergies that I really want. Let's see, what else do I want to throw on here? Don't need that. I think I may want to... I might want to throw Guillotine in on there, just to see how well the bleed does. Danger Sense really doesn't matter for bleed, so I'm trying to focus on these guys. Yeah, it just sucks. Like, Alright. Let's go. Go ahead and begin. Oh man, this is gonna hurt. 28% already. Wow. Alright, so I guess I'll start with Night Thrasher first, and then I'll kind of go into Darkhawk. This way you can kind of get the gist of, you know, because they both work in the same way, that damage is increased once they're awakened and, you know, taken up to a certain sick level. I did not hit that. So yeah, we'll start with Night Thrasher first to see how he goes. Obviously, he's not going to have the greatest block proficiency against a 4-star Winter Soldier, but let's see what I can do with 8,000 health. Probably not much. Okay. Oh, that actually looks really nice. Alright, Guillotine Synergy confirmed to be great. Please don't knock your special 2. And there's that nice power gain right there as well. So now I'm knocking to another one. Let's see, I believe it's just the heavy attack that I need to do. I'm about to lose it. Oh, I lost him. Oh well. Got that one back. Oh, it's not too bad. 5% lost on block proficiency. Not too bad. Could be worse. Definitely could be worse. I do need parry. Alright, so that's exactly what I was talking about with heavying and then immediately going in with a special 1. And now refresh it, just like that. Definitely super satisfying attacks, I'll tell you that much. So, refresh. And that's another thing too, I find the most kind of aggravating is the fact that you have to keep refreshing these debuffs because they just don't last long enough. But now we're going to see that Special 3 really take that 75% increased duration. He's already down 6% of his health. So he's got 4 debuffs. If I can get him to use this. Ouch, 6% health. That hurts, man. That really hurts. Right. Let's refresh. Definitely does a lot of damage, even as a 3-star. Come on. Come on. There you go. Now what I want to do is refresh one more time and get to a special 2 to see how hard that hits before the duration goes. Not bad. Could be worse. Could be worse. Okay, so he is at 89%. As you can see, this Unstoppable is absolutely amazing because it just means it's a guaranteed intercept. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm definitely not the best interceptor in the world, so yeah, just like that. I lose my combo, but you know what? I'd rather have my debuffs and lose a combo than, you know, lose a crap ton of health by getting hit, so let's see, hopefully. Got it. 23. Man, that's not bad. Oh, no, 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 no. Refresh. Yeah, definitely would have been great against Thanos to intercept him. Oh my god, I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Crap. That was a mistake. And I just lost all my debuffs. There's this. Think. I'm not going to another special 2. Probably going to kill me. Almost. Ha! Get back in your corner, son. Refresh. That was nice. I'm definitely about to die here. Oh, that's some booty! I had that! I had that! Let's see. I wonder if it's just the gadget debuffs that he refreshes, or if it also takes effect on the bleed as well. That's kind of something I'm curious about. I'm gonna have to intentionally get knocked out here, though. Yeah. So for roughly that many hits, he's down to what's like 424,000 down from 547. Not too bad, like I said. Definitely solid damage. If I could keep a combo, I probably would have been able to get him down to about half health.